Hello everyone, today I am going to show you how to create procedural wooden basket inside Houdini. So this is the basket that we are going to create. So we just divide this particular stuff into like base. This is my weaving can and this one is your rim. Okay, so we will start with this particular base. Okay, and for that reason I just show you one presentation. Okay, so this is my pattern that we need to create for base. Now to design that particular stuff, first of all we need to create this one, and we have to create this in a such manner that we can design a proper attribute onto it and we can get that weaving pattern in a proper manner. So we consider this particular stuff as circular manner. Now we just simplify that particular stuff like in a straighter line, and within that we just consider 3 line because we can duplicate those particular stuff in 90 degree and we will get that pattern, but this is very important stuff. So for that reason we need to identify the position of this particular thing as well as scale of this thing. Now as we see this particular circular pattern, we will get to know that this is my 60 degree, this is my 90 degree and this is my 120 degree. So based on that, if we consider this particular stuff as theta, maybe that is 60 degree, 90 or 120 degree, so we will get scale is equal to sin theta into r and position of x is equal to cos theta into r. Okay, and then we just duplicate that particular stuff. So now we are going to implement this thing in Houdini. So let's move into Houdini. So over here I just create one geometry container. I just go inside this particular stuff. I just move my viewport on top view, and over here I just create one line and I just set the direction 1 0 0, something like that. Now over here I am going to create one attribute wrangle through which I am going to create those point, position as well as p scale. So for that reason, first of all what I need to do is that I just go to here, preferences, scripting, increase the text size, accept. Okay, so we get a little bigger text onto the scripting. So now I'm going to write down that script that basically generate those points, and for that reason I just set it to detail. Now I just quickly write down float, x position, y position, z position as well as point scale. Then definitely my x position is equal to y position is equal to 0. Okay, so basically I just set those value to be 0. Now I need to write down one more, that is my start angle, or we can say that sector angle is equal to radians 60 degree. Okay, so basically we convert my 60 degree into radian format, as wax prefer angle in radian format. So offset angle, that we know that 60, 90, 120 is equal to 30 degrees. So definitely we also need to convert that particular stuff 30 degree into radian. Okay, then I just write down one for integer I, my iteration is equal to 0 to I less than 3 and I plus plus. And over here I just write down z position. Over here I am going to use z position is equal to cos sector angle point scale is equal to sine sector angle, and now I create one vector that is called my new position is equal to set x position, y position and z position. enter. Now I'm going to create one more integer, that is new point is equal to add point bracket 0, and I need to write down that vector information, that is new position, as well as we need to assign that p-scale attribute onto that, which we carried in that point scale variable. So for that reason I just need to write down set point attribute, that should be first 0, then attribute name, that is p-scale, which value you want to set into that, which point basically, so new point, and which value you want to apply, point scale. Then we need to apply like sector angle plus equal to offset angle. Okay, as well as we need to run this particular stuff definitely onto details, so through which we get this 1, 2, 3 point which p scale value. So now what we need to do is that over here we need to apply copy to point. This is my line and this is my point. Okay, and see, we will get something like this. Okay, now we also need this particular that root point to be into a group. Okay, and it is preferable that I just create one group over here. So I just apply group, name it as center point group, that should be my point, and over here I just set it to be 0. Okay, so it store this information into group, and now we will have that particular group which carried all those root value. Now what am I going to do is that over here I just apply copy and transform. I just apply 4 copy, and definitely over here I just apply 90 degree. Okay, and see, we will get this particular pattern like this. As well as over here I just click onto that, it basically store the copy numbers. So likewise, this is my first copy, that one is second, third and 4, something like that. So it carries that copy num attribute. Okay, and right now it's stored onto primitive. Okay, so we need that particular stuff onto my point, and for that reason over here I just apply attribute promote, and over here I just define my original class is primitive copy number, and now we just move that particular stuff onto point. Now over here I'm going to apply one transform, in which I just assign that center point group type point, and now we can reduce like this. Okay, so right now I just put it like this. Now we need to modify it over here after we apply that smoothness onto this. So I need to identify that particular operator, so that reason I just give a color to that particular thing, so we can easily identify okay where to change after some more proceed. Now the next step is that over here I am going to apply one more attribute wrangle to basically create that little overlapping, so this particular opposite sides or that alternative side should be little bit up onto that, so we can get that overlapping stuff in a proper manner. So for that reason we need to identify those stuff. So basically I need to identify those points, center point. So I again write down attribute wrangle, in which I just write down if, as well as over here I just set this particular wrangle should be applied onto this center point group. Now if I just apply condition like if at copy num that we already created percentage 2 is equal to 1, then we need to write down at p dot y plus equal to, I need to create one parameter for that, so that should be my y offset semicolon over and bracket also over. So now if I click onto this particular stuff, create spare parameter, so now I get this y offset, and now if I change this, see, we got only move those points in the up direction. Okay, so I just put it like that, little bit up. Now definitely over here we get multiple points, so for that reason I just apply one fuse operator, so we get a proper fuse stuff over here. Now we need to apply one subdivide. Okay, increase the value like maybe 3, so we get something like this. So now see, we are not getting that much of arc in that particular stuff, so again we jump over here in transform and reduce that particular value like this maybe. So see, might possible that you have to go in negative direction or negative value, and we will get a good pattern, and that is definitely controllable using this particular stuff. So now we get this arc. Okay, now we need to resample that particular stuff in a proper manner, as well as we need a proper attribute to that, so we can get a proper waving pattern based on that. So for that reason over here I am going to apply one for each primitive. Okay, so if you click onto that, we will get each primitive. As if you check over here, we will have the primitive like this. Okay, 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So we just need to apply each primitive some process. So likewise over here I am going to apply one resample. Okay, so through resample we will get some more sampling. I just off this particular stuff and click onto this maximum segment, and might possible that we have 22. Now out of which we do not need some points over here, because that weaving pattern is not in that particular center area. So for that reason I'm going to create one group by range, and in which I just assign name to be mid points group. This should be my point, and over here maybe I just set start to be 4, and definitely we do not even need, because over here we get that rim area, so maybe 1 or 2 depends on your design or whatever you think. You just apply like that, and over here I just apply invert range. Okay, as I want to delete those particular stuff, as well as I just create one attribute. Okay, so attribute create and name it as ptn. That should be integer, and over here I just write down pt num. Okay, so basically it store that whatever the point number that is as attribute. So if you want to click over here, click onto this ptn, and to see this particular stuff in a proper manner, yeah, so we will get, see, 0 1 2 3 4. Even if you click over here, it makes sure that you just set something like marker, text, and something like that. So we'll get a proper like this. So now see, we'll get 4 4 4 4 4 5 5 5 5 6 6 6 6 6, something like that. So we will get that base, and we will put some attribute onto that. So now we are going to create some wing pattern onto that. So for that reason I just drag one branch, create blast operator, through which I'm going to blast my midpoint groups. Okay, so we get something like this over here. Now over here we need to create that weaving pattern, and for that reason I'm going to create one more time for each point. Okay, so now we have for each point, in which what we prefer over here, I'm just set one attribute, piece attribute, and that should be my PTN. Okay, so at a time we will get those points which has same attribute. So now next step is that we need some iteration information, because based on that we are going to move our point little bit up and down to create that weaving pattern. Okay, as well as it is also necessary that, likewise, see over here I am going to create one add operator and maybe click onto this poly by group, by attribute, that should be my PTN. Okay, so now over here the condition is like, if this particular point go up, so this should be go down, same way this up, this down, this up, this down, and something like that. Okay, so for that reason we have to design something over here, and for that reason we need iteration information for this thing, for loop. So to create iteration or to get iteration information, I need to click onto that, create meta import node. Now to get iteration value in a proper manner, I just create one null operator over here, click onto this add spare input, I just drag this particular for each metadata over here, create one parameter like float, that is okay, name it as I, give a proper title like iteration, apply, accept. Now over here to get iteration information, I just write down detail -1, that is called this particular spare input one, then iteration double inverted comma and my index 0. So now what we need to do is that wherever we need that iteration, I just copy this parameter and paste relative reference, and we will get that information in a proper manner. So now I just create one group range in which I just set it as alternating points group. Over here this should be point 1 out of 2, and over here in this offset I just paste the relative reference and apply %2. Okay, so see right now it select this, but if you change the iteration, likewise over here single pass, maybe 1 or 2, say like this, over here maybe for 1 we'll get this, for 2 we will get this. Okay, so that's the benefit of that thing. So over here we get this group information. Now what am I going to do is that over here I'm going to write down one more attribute wrangle to give that up and down offset. So for that reason I just write down one float user offset is equal to CHF offset and multiply with 0.1, so we will get tiny detail over there. Now I write down one if condition, if those point is in that particular group. Okay, so for that reason in point group 0 comma group name, that is alt points underscore group double inverted comma over, and your ptnum is equal to 1, then add p dot y plus equal to user offset I just copy this information, Control C, else Control V, but over here I just apply minus value. Okay, and I just click onto this. So now we will get something like this over here. So now if I offset this particular information, okay, maybe little bit. So see, one get up and one get down like this. Okay, so now we get up and down pattern, and if you check over here, we will get that weaving kind of pattern over here. Okay, as well as what I need to do is that I just click onto that closed. Okay, that is fine right now. Now we are going to apply resample, and in that resample I just apply 0.02, as well as over here in treat polygon we just apply interpolating curves. Okay, now what is that subdivision curve and what is interpolating curve? Okay, that I will explain you. So likewise, this is my base curve. Okay, so this is my original, that is straight edge curve, we can call it as. Okay, now we apply subdivision. So what happened that it just passed through like this. Okay, so it is use something like tangent as that my original curve, and it is designed something like that. Okay, so basically it's move from the center of that particular line. Okay, while when you apply interpolating curve, that means that particular curve gets smoother, but it's passed through original points. Okay, so right now we have to maintain that original position of that, and that's the reason we are using this interpolating curve. Okay, within this example we are going to use even this subdivision curve also. So now we have this resample, so I just put as it is. Okay, so now we are going to rectify our main base curves like over here. So if you check, we do not have proper numbering and sorting that particular points over here. So for that reason I just apply one poly path, and we just click onto this connect endpoint. Okay, so it just connect endpoint, as well as to give a proper index or sorting in a proper manner, we are going to use one resample operator, and we just do nothing into that, so it automatically set that particular stuff in a proper manner. So now what I need to do is that I just apply one merge operator, merge these two stuff like this, and I apply polywire, give the radius to be 0.016, maybe division should be 12. Okay, something like this, and this offset is little very higher, so for that reason I just need to come over here, reduce this particular value, maybe 0.28. Yeah, so that is better. So now see, we will get that particular pattern. Now as this is natural wooden, so we need a little variation. This is very smoother, so we need to apply little noise to this particular stuff. So for that reason over here I am going to apply one attribute noise. Okay, in which I am going to apply position to be this one. Over here range should be 0 centroid. Maybe amplitude I give little very tiny amplitude, as well as over here in element size we need to reduce that also, so likewise maybe 0.2. and now see, we will get a little noisy pattern. Like if I bypass this thing, we get very smoother. Yeah, so now this is my base. So what am I going to do is that I just create one null operator, name it as out base. Okay, so that's how we create this particular base. So I just select this particular stuff, create a drop box onto that. Okay, so now we move into our next segment, and that is your weaving can. So this is this one. So let's start over here. So for that reason, first of all, I am going to create one circle. Click onto this, set it to XZ plane. Definitely I need to prefer that normal direction should be in up. So I just set it to 180 degree. Over here I just set maybe 32 or whatever division. Okay, so just increase the division. Now I need to create one line over here. Okay, now definitely you can create all the controllers, so it is preferable that you create one null operator which carried all the parameter and through which you can generate those or control those values. But right now I'm not going to do that, as this is a good exercise to understand that where your values flow. Okay, that's the reason I prefer right now to not create that controller. So right now I just create one line and just in length it to be 2. Okay, now I just apply one resample, and that is maybe 50. And over here I also prefer to create curve view attribute. Now I need to create one p scale attribute. So right now what am I going to do is that over here I'm just going to create one copy to point and copy this circle onto those points. So right now we get something like this, but we need that particular stuff to be in basket formation or whatever the formation we need, and for that reason over here I'm going to create one more attribute triangle. Now over here I just write down at p scale is equal to 1 plus ch ramp. I'm going to create ramp and name it as shape, and based on your curve view attribute, and multiply that particular stuff with one more parameter called offset, comma over, run this particular stuff, and I'm going to apply offset like maybe 0.6, because as right now offset is 0, we get nothing over here, but now see we will get something like this over here. Now I just select this one, set it to be B-spline, this one B-spline, and now give a proper shape to my basket like this or that or whatever. Okay, now over here I also need to create one more time attribute. So attribute create, and as we also need to create this particular stuff as weaving pattern, so for that reason I need that ptn that we already play while we creating base weaving pattern. Okay, so I just create ptn, and over here we just apply pt number onto that. Again for this particular stuff I am going to apply attribute noise. Same way as we need a natural pattern to that, so for that reason we just apply position, 0 central, maybe 0.04, element size maybe 0.2. Okay, so we get something like this, a little variation into that. Okay, now we need to move same way a little bit up, down, and something like that. Okay, and for that reason we need this particular stuff should be moved only in x and z coordinate, okay, based on the position of that particular thing. So for that reason I am going to create one temporary normal. Okay, so that is not affect my original normal, but we just give a different name to that, and for that reason I just apply attribute wrangle. Now in which I am going to apply one vector information, vector original position is equal to at p position. Over here what am I going to do is that original position dot y should be 0. Okay, as I am not going to calculate y information, we just need x and z information. Now over here I just write down vector normalize normal is equal to normalize bracket original position. As now it has y is 0. Now I just create one temporary normal, that is underscore n is equal to normal. Okay, so now if you want to check that how that particular stuffs look like, I just click onto that, I click onto this and maybe I just hide this ptn and see, you will get something like this. Okay, so we are going to use that particular stuff in a proper manner, but not right now. So now what am I going to do is that likewise we generate our wing pattern through this particular stuff. We are going to use the same kind of process over here. Okay, so for that reason I just apply for each primitive now. Okay, so now we have that primitive, one primitive at a time, like this. Same way we need that iteration information. So for that reason I just select this begin, click onto this create metadata. Same way I just create one null over here, create that add spare input, drag this particular information over here, go to edit parameter, float, I, iteration, apply accept, name like detail, -1 comma iteration 0. Okay, so we'll get, and I just copy this parameter over here. Same manner I'm going to create that group range, group by range, name similar name, I just give it to alt points underscore group, that should be point over here 1 out of 2. Okay, so we'll get something like this over here, and similar manner I just apply paste relative reference percentage modular 2 over here, so we'll get something like that. And definitely to move that particular stuff outside and inside, I just create again one more time attribute wrangle, almost similar, but over here I am going to use that temporary normal information, and for that reason again I just write down float user offset is equal to chf offset multiply with 0.1 if in point group 0 comma alt points underscore group double inverted comma over at ptnum is equal to 1, then at p plus equal to in bracket, now I am going to write down v at underscore and multiply with user offset, bracket over, shift home, copy, enter, else, paste, and over here I just apply minus equal to, and I just click onto this particular stuff. And now if I apply some value like this, and see, we will get something like this. Now if we click onto that, see, we will get that weaving pattern. So I just create one null operator and name it as out body base. Okay, so this is the base that I created for that weaving can. Okay, so now what am I going to do is that over here I'm going to create that line that basically support that weaving curve. Okay, so we are going to create those support curve or support stick for this particular process. So that is now for each point. Okay, now I'm going to use that particular thing, that is piece attribute that we already created at the start of that particular thing over here. So now see, at a time it just store this information or call this information. Now what am I going to do? Over here I'm going to apply one add operator through which I just create this particular curve, but this particular curve should be moved from the center of that particular thing, and that's that particular concept, interpolating subdivision concept comes. So I just apply one resample operator, and over here I just apply my length should be maybe 0.08. Over here treat polygon should be subdivide, and if you click onto that, now see, it just moved from the center of that particular thing. Now if you need some more clarity of that particular stuff, I again create one more resample, and now at this time I just reduce maybe 0.02, but now this time interpolating curve, so we'll get more archy shape, but it's just move almost from the center of that thing. Okay, so we'll get that base stuff. See, so this is something different method. Okay, now we are going to create that weaving stuff over here. So for that reason I just apply that resample over here. Again in that resample I'm going to apply maybe 0.06, definitely interpolating curve, so we'll get little smoother onto this particular area. Now we do not need some of, because over here we get that dream patterns over here. So for that reason I just create one group by range, and primitive, that is fine, and I just name it as mid primitive group. Over here whatever the content that you do not need, like 1 and our 2 that we do not need from this particular stuff, so we just create like that. And over here I just apply one blast operator in which I'm going to apply this mid primitive, delete none selected, so we get something like this over here. Now we just merge those stuff here and here, and we apply that polywire, that should be 0.018, this should be 12 segment, and see, we will get this weaving can. Okay, so I just create one more null operator and name it as out weaving can, and definitely I just put those particular stuff into one network Dropbox. Okay, so now we have this. Now I'm going to create that rim. So for that reason I just create one more branch from here only. Okay, or maybe from here you can utilize that thing. Likewise over here I just create again one group range, or maybe you just duplicate this particular stuff over here and I just set 1 and 1, and now I just apply one blast operator, delete mid primitive, so we get that top and bottom like this over here. Now what am I going to do is that for this particular stuff I am going to create one circle that is polygon 12, that is fine. And now I am going to apply one transform. And move depends on that duplication. I just right now I'm do not do nothing, and over here I just apply one copy and transform 5 copy, and in Z I'm going to apply 360 divide by, I just copy this particular total number and paste relative reference over here, so we get basically 5 copy. I just select this one and maybe move like this. Okay, that's fine. And now I just apply one more match size to reduce the size of this particular stuff. So I just set copy parameter, paste relative reference, paste relative reference, and over here I just set it to maybe 0.1 and scale to fit. Okay, so we'll get that tiny detail over here. Now what am I going to do is that over here to get that particular rim stuff I'm going to use one sweep operator. So in sweep we need to apply backbone, that should be this, and this is my profile. So we get something like this over here. So definitely to apply I just have here a reverse cross section, as well as it is preferable that I just apply one more time resample 0.01 interpolating. And now what I need to do is that in this sweep I just go a little bit down over here in rotation, and in full twist maybe I just apply 20. Okay, and we will get this pattern. Okay, so again I just create one more null operator, name it as out rims, again create one network box for this. So now we get these 3 main element for our basket. So need to merge all of them over here. So merge, merge and merge. So we will get this basket. Okay, so now it is little down to that particular ground surface, so I just apply one match size, set it to be minimum, and over here I just apply one null operator and name it as out basket. Okay, so now we just create a basic Lookdev for this particular stuff, and for that reason what am I going to do is that over here I just apply one transform, rotate this particular stuff 180 degree, duplicate this match size like this, apply one transform. Okay, so basically create 2 baskets over here to give a little more interesting composition, and maybe merge this 2 stuff like this. Okay, and out baskets. Okay, so now we have these 2 baskets. So now I'm going to apply something that Lookdev into Solaris. So what am I going to do is that I just copy this particular stuff, now move into my Solaris workspace, and over here I just call shop import. I just paste that shop path over here, so we'll get that basket like this. Okay, and I just name it as geo, and I just name it as baskets. I need one ground, so for that reason I just create one grid. Okay, and in this grid I also apply geo slash and name it as ground. I just go inside this particular stuff and maybe increase 100 by 100, 2 by 2, something like that. So we'll get a little setup over here, and definitely we need to set a proper camera to render out this particular thing. So maybe I just set like this, and to generate camera I just click over here and click into new camera, and to give a little more depth to this we just apply like this. As well as I'm going to apply one dome light. Click onto this. I have one HDRI, so I just apply that. Okay, and I just try it out whether it is working fine or not. Okay, looks good. So now next step is that I'm going to create one shader specifically for this basket. Okay, very quick shader. So for that reason I just create one material library. I just go inside this particular stuff. Over here I just click onto this material X, create this subnetwork for that, go inside this particular stuff, and over here what am I going to do? I just expand this particular thing, and over here I'm going to create one material X position that basically calculate the position of your object. So space should be your object level. Then need to multiply this particular stuff so we can get little more detailed stuff over here. So for that reason I just apply multiply with 8. Now over here I just need one noise 3D pattern. Okay, so I just apply any noise whatever you liked, but over here I just apply material X, and I just set this position to be applied over here. Okay, now might possible that this particular information give you value between minus 0.5 to 0.5. So for that reason I just apply one material X range. This should be my input, and in low should be minus 0.5, and this should be 0.5. Okay, now it might possible that some value is not go over here and there. So for that reason maybe go down of this particular stuff or whatever. So for that reason it is preferable to apply clamp. Okay, so now we have value between 0 and 1 only. Now to give color to this particular stuff, but before we apply any color I just apply this particular stuff as my base color, and now we try to apply this material. So I just name it as material for basket. Come over here, assign material, and I just set my basket over here, and my material that I just created I just apply it over here, and now we try to identify whether it is working or not. So it is working definitely. So now see we get something like this over here, but we need color into that. So I just again go into material library, go inside this particular stuff, and over here after that I apply material clamp. I am going to apply one color ramp, and in which I just select the color maybe a little brownie, as well as that darker color maybe over here. That should be little bit over here, little darker. Okay, maybe like this. Okay, even if you feel that you want to do some color correction onto that, we have that node also. color correction, and might possible that you want to change some hue, maybe 0.01 or something like that, or maybe need to change a gamma little bit over here and there. You can apply it like this. Okay, as well as I just select this particular stuff, go to specular and increase roughness little bit, like maybe 0.3. Also, I just create one more material X, that is for my ground. Go inside this particular stuff, select this thing, go to color, almost same kind of colored value like this, and maybe I just increase the roughness. Come over here again, in assign material, create new one, select ground and ground material to that. Okay, so that's how you can create your procedural basket inside Houdini. Okay, so hope you like this tutorial. See you soon with another tutorial. Thank you.